Okay, good evening, everybody. My name is Tracy Craig, and I will be moderating this meeting tonight. We're glad that you're all here. This is the fourth community meeting for the 450 O'Farrell project, and we have about a 15-minute presentation followed by questions and answers. John, next slide, please. Couple meeting ground rules first. We are recording this meeting and we'll be uploading it to our Facebook page. Everybody is muted upon entering, but you can unmute yourself at any time to ask a question. You can also ask questions in the chat box if you know how to use that function. It's at the bottom of the screen. Just click it open and type away. Again, we're happy to answer questions throughout the presentation, and we'll save plenty of time afterwards to answer questions. If you're calling in on your cell phone, you need to press *9 and then *6 to unmute yourself. And if you'd like to get regular updates on the project, please put your email in the chat function and we'll add you to our mailing list. Also, I'm just curious, we have a lot of folks here tonight, and I'd love to know how you found out about this meeting. So if you're interested in sharing that information, you can just type that information if you got it through our Facebook page, door to door, you were on our email list. I'd love to know how you found out about the meeting so we can improve our outreach as we move forward. Next slide, please, John. Okay, I am going to now hand this over to Ella Strong, who's with the Fifth Church of Christ Scientist. She's going to just talk a little bit about the church's mission, and then Alex Zucker will talk about the actual project itself. Thank you. Ella?
Thanks, Tracy. Good evening and welcome. My name is Ella Strong, and I am the president of the executive board of Fifth Church of Christ Scientist, the project co-sponsors. We have presented our building project to you and others in several meetings throughout the beginning of this year and to the San Francisco Planning Commission in mid-April. And on Thursday, we're going for the final approval of the commission. To recap, we have an existing building permit to build our new church and the Christian Science reading room, which are essential to fulfilling our religious mission of the church. And now our focus is on fulfilling the other part of the mission statement, building the workforce housing. Alex Zucker, the project manager with Forge, is going to highlight today some wonderful aspects of our housing project, aspects which are of interest to the public and to the planning commissioners. Alex?
Next slide, please. Thank you, Ella. And just to reiterate what Ella said, some of these things we're going to be highlighting here are one, changes we've made to the project between kind of the version 2 and the version 3 that we saw at the commission prior, and also highlight some aspects that were brought up at the commission, both by the commissioners and the public, of areas of interest of the project. So that's some of the things we're highlighting here first, the areas of interest. And a lot of these have been incorporated in the project prior, and I can highlight where the changes are. So in terms of sustainability and kind of natural resource conservation, we have kind of 3 areas we focus on at Forge, and that is the water conservation, health and air quality, and energy conservation. So in terms of water conservation, the project actually incorporates a black water recapture system where we capture black water from all of the fixtures in the building and re-purify it and use it in the building, for kind of irrigation or toilet flushing again. And this will save about 50% of the water use in the building, over 1 million gallons annually, which is especially pertinent being in California and entering another drought now. So we're super excited about this system we're able to incorporate in the project. In terms of air quality, all of our air is actually filtered with what's called a MERV 13 filter, which filters out airborne microbes, viruses, particulates, everything, both coming into the building from the exterior and the air circulating inside the building as well. So things like, our insane fire season we have in California that we dealt with a couple of years ago, where there was smoke that it was so incredible that it kind of hurt to go outside, will be filtered out of the air in this building, and it won't get inside at all. In addition, we're going through a global health pandemic of an airborne virus that would also be filtered out of the air in the building. In terms of energy conservation, we have several solar systems on the project that both alleviate kind of the hot water. It's a hot water solar system, and the whole building is a low voltage energy system as well. So we'll save a significant amount of both electricity and electricity in terms of water heating. Next slide, please. There were also a lot of questions about kind of the kitchens and the amenity spaces. And so some of the changes we've actually made comparing this project to the previous versions of the project is we've added more amenity spaces throughout the building going up. So every unit has an accessible amenity space within 2 floors of the unit. And those are kitchens as well going up the building. So we've added 3 separate kitchens in the project going up, one on the 4th floor, and then one, I believe it's on the 8th floor. We'll look a little bit more at the floor plans in a couple slides here. And so that addresses the kind of direct concerns from some of the commissioners and the public about accessible kitchen spaces. And these are fully equipped kitchen spaces with commercial size appliances. So ovens, refrigerators, burners, stovetops, garbage disposal, dishwashers, etc. And again, the building is a fiber optic network building. So the internet quality throughout will be exceptional, and we'll absolutely be able to allow everybody to work from home if we're stuck in this current situation. Next slide, please. Another aspect we'd like to highlight, and I'll highlight again in a couple of slides further in the presentation, are the resident support services provided by Project Access. They're our building partner in all of our projects, and they're an integral part to our building operations. They will run everything from fun kind of community building events to personal financial management events, job training days, and after school activities for children in the building. Another concern that was expressed was kind of the sound issue with the density in the project, and we are building the project to kind of the utmost standards in terms of sound transfer in the walls, ceilings, and floors, as well as the windows. So everything will be very insulated, and we don't even expect you to be able to hear your neighbor in this building. Next slide, please. Just to highlight some of the project metrics of the building, because a couple of them have changed. To jog your memory, we have 316 units for middle income earners, 48 below market rate units, 8 amenity spaces now throughout the building, including 3 outdoor spaces, 2 courtyards, and 1 roof deck, and 28 family friendly larger units, and 2 ground floor neighborhood serving retail spaces. Next slide, please. Here's an example that we saw in the previous presentation of the 3-bedroom unit. So you can see here 2 private bathrooms in the unit and 3 separate spaces that can be converted to bedrooms, dining rooms, living rooms, however, the tenants see fit. But you'll notice this is a dining use here, and the group has gathered with a full dining room table in the kind of center space there, and there's somebody cooking dinner and serving it. Again, to reiterate, every unit has private cooking facilities and bathrooms. Next slide, please. Here's the current ground floor to the version 3 of the project. And to highlight what has changed here, you'll notice the middle pink section, the amenity space, we truncated it, made it slightly smaller. You'll notice now there's some more back of house. And the resident kitchen and dining space is a little bit smaller up front. That's because we've allocated more space to those amenity spaces going up throughout the building, which we will look at next. Next slide, please. Again, here's the 4th floor, and we're looking at the amenity space, which I was just discussing. So you'll notice in the center of your screen, again, that pink space is the amenity space that opens onto the courtyard. We expect this one to be, again, a community kitchen. That kind of has a nice indoor-outdoor experience. You can open the whole glass wall slides away, and you can host dinner parties, happy hour events. Our managers can host, demonstration cooking events, cooking classes, things like that. Next slide, please. And here's an example of an upper floor. Again, I'd like to hone in your gaze to that kind of lower left section of the building where you saw the amenity space in the previous slide. Here you'll notice that amenity space is replaced on a couple floors in the building with larger units. Like I said, we have added more larger units hearing the community and commissioner feedback over the past couple months. So you will now see a type N unit, a type M unit, and a type L1 unit. All three of those are larger, more family-oriented units. Next slide, please. Here's an artist rendering of the community common space, the resident kitchen we were discussing on the 4th floor. You'll notice the indoor-outdoor experience I was describing and the cooking facility. If you go to the next slide, please, we can see kind of an aerial view. And you'll notice kind of in the back there is 2 cooking stations where there are some residents cooking, and then lounge and dining seating outside for residents to use however they see fit. Next slide, please. Here's that same space on one of the higher floors. I believe this one is on floor 9 or so. And you'll notice that view of the San Francisco skyline to the west. So again, similar layout that we just saw below, cooking 2 separate cooking stations in the front and out towards the edge. Next slide, please. More dining space and lounge seating. I think we can go to the next slide as well. Oops. And now to highlight project access a bit more, since we didn't have the opportunity to discuss them at our previous town halls or hearing. This is the nonprofit that we partner with to do our kind of management and event and resident services. They are present in the Bay Area and have been for a while now. They have 46 communities in California and 14 of those in the Bay Area. And they are the leading, they have a mission to become a leading provider of on-site health, education, and employment services to families, children, and others living in affordable housing communities. So they are a direct services coordinator, and on the next slide here, we'll see what some of the things that we expect them to be doing in our building. So they focus on kind of 4 areas for their programming: health and wellness, community engagement, education for youth, and economic stability. And they host events, field trips, dinners, seminars, and other things like that in each of these 4 areas. So just some examples. You know, they'll do like yoga classes or workout classes or healthy cooking demonstrations with chefs from restaurants around the neighborhood. They'll do volunteer days, networking events, after school programs for children, field trips, financial education and employment assistance, things like that. We're very excited to partner with them and bring them to all of our communities. Next slide, please. So just to highlight and kind of recap what we're doing here, this is a large investment in the Tenderloin neighborhood, which we're very excited to partner with the church and bring to this neighborhood. And this project, which you've just seen with the changes we've made between our previous commission hearing and today, is actually financeable and will get built. And it provides high quality, safe, and dignified housing that will allow the workforce, the middle income earners in San Francisco, to stay in the city with our level of affordability. Next slide, please. And I think now that's the end of the presentation here. We wanted to leave this slide up and open the discussion to be questions, comments, concerns, anything like that from the community. Thank you all for your time.
Great. So please feel free to raise your hand. Use the little you can raise your hand physically if you want to show us your face, or you can raise your hand virtually with the little icon. And I will call on people. And I'd love it too if you folks would, if anybody wants to introduce themselves as well to everybody that's attending. So David Elliott, thank you for raising your hand, and please tell us what's on your mind.
So regarding the black water, which is raw sewage conversion, I'd like to know more about the technology you're using or the name of the technology, because I've never heard of converting a building's black water. I've heard of gray water, but black water is sewage right out of the toilet, and that takes a lot of treatment to make that suitable for even reflushing. So I'd like to know what kind of technology you're using to convert that.
Right, yeah, sure. I can answer that question. There are a lot of systems that actually do this. It's very common in pretty much everywhere else in the world besides America, and we're quickly adopting it everywhere around the nation, especially in California due to the droughts and all of the water usage we have. The system we're partnering with is called Epic Clean Tech. And you're right, it is a black water system, so there's a lot of concerns about safety and all that. This system and all systems that do this very, very highly regulated. We have to test every week and make sure that the output is meeting the standards of the state of California and all of that. So it is this system is already approved by PUC and used in projects in California, in San Francisco and California. I'm sure you're familiar with the giant development NEMA down on Market Street. They have one of these systems incorporated into their project, and there are others that are coming to San Francisco that will be using this system as well.
You're saying NEMA's reusing their black water?
Right, NEMA is using this.
I did not know that. Okay, thank you. That's helpful to know. That was my question. Thank you very much.
Okay.
You're welcome.
And then I think Martha Murray, I don't see her last name, I just see Martha. I think I'm pronouncing that right. Please feel free to.
Okay, can you hear me?
And just one second after that, Peter, okay? Go ahead, please, Martha. Thanks.
Martha Murray, and I'm a member of Fifth Church, and I'm just so delighted about the progress and the progression this project has made. And but my question is, can you address the residents' laundry? How do they do their laundry at the 450 O'Farrell building project?
Sure, that's a great question. Yeah, all of the units here will have a combined washer dryer. So there will be private laundry facilities as well in the units.
In each unit. And the amenity spaces are beautiful, and the community kitchens. Who cleans that up at the end of the day? Is it an honor system where you clean up what you prepare and,
well, that's ideal.
Being a host?
And yeah, users will be expected to do that. But of course, we have a cleaning service as well that will come in every day to make sure the spaces are clean.
Thank you.
Okay, and then Peter Rauch. I think I'm pronounced that right. Did I pronounce that right? Rauch?
Close, yeah, Rauch.
Rauch. Did I get it?
Rauch.
Okay.
Hi.
Go ahead,
So,
please.
hi. My question is regarding the bathrooms. You had mentioned that in the revised layout with the additional community kitchens, that some of the units had bathrooms. Is it correct to assume that all of them have bathrooms? Because it sounded like there may be some that don't have bathrooms and would be shared bathrooms.
No, I think maybe you misheard. Every unit has a bathroom. Yeah, every unit has a private bathroom.
Okay, and then regarding the honed down kitchens, have they been revamped at all so that folks who may not want to cook, in a public space and would like after a long day to come home and cook something within their own unit, is that possible yet?
Yes, as I said on our unit slide as well, every unit has a private cooking facility. You could make anything you could make in the common cooking facility inside your unit as well.
Okay, so you've added burners or stoves in units?
Those have always been incorporated, actually.
Okay, I've been following along on the progress, and it sounded like some of them had mini kitchens, quote unquote, that weren't all suitable for cooking. Like if somebody wanted to go home and roast a chicken, I don't think that was possible. And the unit, is that now changed?
No, it has. Maybe that was an aspect of miscommunication, perhaps on our part. They have always had cooking facilities in which you could cook full meals from the beginning of this project.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. There is a question in the chat box that I'm just going to read to you. It says, on the community engagement partnership with the nonprofit, have you explored just developing a relationship with existing TL nonprofits to help support and strengthen their work instead of recreating services with this new nonprofit? I think you actually work with this nonprofit on other projects and you have an established relationship, if I'm not mistaken. Isn't that correct, Alex?
That's right. This nonprofit is a partner with us on a global scale, and they are incorporated into every one of our projects. So our other 2 projects in the Tenderloin use this group as well. So Project Access, I believe that's what he's referring to, right? Project Access.
Yeah. So I would say to that, they have an established relationship with Project Access and have not explored working with other TL organization, the TL that might offer the same type of services. And then we have another question. Can we get a copy of the deck? Yes, you can get a copy of this deck. You need to put your email in that chat box, or we'll be uploading it to our Facebook page, and I will have John type in the address to the Facebook page, and you can access it there along with the recording of this meeting. And then let's see, we have another question. Please tell us the square footage of each type of unit.
That's quite a complex answer because there are about 20 different unit types. When you get
I
really,
think it's fair for you to summarize on a high level and say, you know,
on a high level,
studios would be this.
the units range from 350 to 860 square feet.
Okay. And if that doesn't answer your question, if you'd like more information, just either type it in the box or raise your hand. Okay, other folks?
Okay, Colleen, I see your email there. Yeah, I'll send you the, that's on file with the planning department, so it's all public information. I'm happy to send you the file.
Let's see. Oh, Project Access will be working with other nonprofits. So I do want to say that too, that they will look for opportunities to partner with other nonprofits. I know that's part of their mission. And in fact, whoever is interested in Project Access, we are happy to offer a time where you can meet them over Zoom if you want. So if that's of interest to folks to find out more what partnering would look like, please put your email in the chat box and we'll follow up with you and we can set up a Zoom meeting for you to chat with them. Okay. And I see, Michael, I see your email in there. Is that for a specific reason? Do you want to receive updates? Project Access that meeting with Project Access. Okay, great. I will set something up and I'll follow up with Amos and with Michael. Happy to do so.
Can I clarify about the minimum square footage? So I thought I remember hearing earlier, maybe I'm confused from different project, that it was more in the 200 square foot range. So you're saying there'll be no unit smaller than 350 square feet?
Right.
That's absolutely true?
Right. There is no unit in the 200 square foot range.
Oh, okay. So 350 is the minimum, and that would be like a studio type unit, studio apartment?
Right.
And do some of the units like look onto light wells, or do all of them have external windows?
Not exactly certain what you're asking, but yeah, all units have exterior windows. There are no kind of interior windows to our project.
You know what I mean by a light well? That's something that a lot of SRO buildings have, where they have empty columns inside the building, so windows look into a common light well shaft that goes up and down. But
yeah, no, there's nothing like that. So the windows either look out to the street or the courtyard or the neighboring.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Yeah, and again, I would say that all of those units have private bathrooms as well, right?
Right.
Yes. Okay. Let me see. There is another something in the chat. So how many of each size unit? I think we can answer part. It says, can I get a copy of the deck, particularly the difference in unit size and amenities offered in each unit size? So I think what we can do is refer people to the, there's lots of different sizes, I believe, of these units. So I think we can refer people to the plans and we can put that information on our Facebook page. But I do think it's important, Alex, if you would just tell people what the amenity, if there are any difference in amenities, say between the 850 square foot one and the 350 square foot.
No, there's
So
no,
they,
all of them
there's-
have private bathrooms, all of them have private kitchens.
okay,
You know, the larger ones will have 2 bathrooms and more space and rooms, but that's, you know, they all have the same amenities and facilities.
okay, thank you. And let me see what else we've got in here. Did you already mention the rents? What will they be?
So the rents are something we went over on our previous town halls and slideshow. Maybe it would be helpful to pull up that slide. I don't know if we can, but the rents range from 55% AMI up to 130% AMI is the most expensive.
And then I believe, if I'm not mistaken, you have the, I can't remember the number of below market rate, but that's also distributed between studio and,
Right, 48 below market rate units.
okay.
Just clarification, rents are different than AMI. AMI is an income level and rent is something different than that. So for market rate units, I'm supposing that rents are not tied to income, right? They're tied to what the market will will allow. So I think that the question about rents was really about what are you, what rent are you thinking of charging for the market rate units?
So a range of like what would 60% of AMI be, or 130% of AMI?
Yeah, I don't have that information off the top of my head, but I can look at
Yeah, I would say, one, the building hasn't been built, so it's going to be 3 years out, however long it takes to be built. Maybe you could give them give something in today's dollars.
So like right now, like today's dollars at 130% AMI for a 1-bedroom, it's 3,500. And this is taken right from the Mayor's Office of Housing AMI, you know, rent limits for AMI.
But I'm still a little confused because market rate units aren't tied to any AMI level. You can set the rent at whatever you want, correct? For market rate units.
Right.
Right. So you
Due to
won't
the
be,
nature of the size, though, you know, you can't charge $6,000 for a 500 square foot unit. You know, it's kind of what we've discussed previously at some of these and the hearing is that it's affordable by design. That's kind of how we build. So we build smaller individual spaces with large and ample amenity spaces. And just by the nature of smaller spaces, you can't charge as much as a, you know, large unit luxury rate development.
Can I offer something here? Because it seems to be a really difficult question for everyone. This is Richard Hannum speaking. You're right, absolutely, Colleen, that we are limited. We can't select against people who earn a lot of money in who gets to rent the building, except under certain circumstances. In our projects at 145 Leavenworth and 361 Turk, we have been able to actually accomplish that. So half of those buildings will have an income restriction at 80% of AMI. so that if you earn more than that, you cannot rent half of the units in the building. We were able to accomplish that through an agreement with the FHFA and Freddie Mac to be able to do that. That doesn't happen. That's an unusual situation where we actually can do that. So we did. In this case, our rents are subject to market, but by design, because of their size, there's a real material limit on the upper side of what you can charge. And by doing that, it helps reduce the number of the income requirement to qualify. So when you have a more expensive unit, you have a much higher required income to qualify. And what we've been doing is performing our project and designing it at these lower rent rates. And so, Alex, I believe that in the performa that you're looking at, our average across the project is about 110% AMI. Is that correct?
That's right.
So we know that the BMR units are unusual. In the old project, the BMR units had a full value rate coming out of the Mayor's Office of Housing. In the new project, because of the nature, because it's group occupancy, regardless of how big the unit is, we're only able to charge 75% of that. And so our rent rates for the same size unit as in the prior project are 25% lower than they were before, creating greater affordability on the entire 48 units that are being offered as opposed to the 28 before. So our reach is much lower into affordability. We can go deeper into that range because of the way this is structured as a requirement by the city. And so that's the effective rate. I think, Alex, what's our median number for a one bedroom, or what we're calling a one bedroom, a 350, 400 square foot unit?
The median rent?
What's our rent rate? Yeah. What's the average?
The average across the building is...
No, across the smaller units. Do you have a way of looking at that?
Not really.
Because there's a range that goes in there. So we're not trying to be obtuse about this or to hide it. But it's, as Tracy said, it's difficult to say what rent rate you'll be at when you get to the market at the end. But we can talk about what is being performed today. And we're at the request of one of the commissioners, we're going to be sending that information out of what it is today. And we'll be happy to share that with you.
Thanks. Just the reason I'm asking is because I'm looking at the participants on the call and I'm anticipating questions that they will have
Sure.
from me later. And so that's what it is. But I think that it's fairly easy to determine what the rent rate will be for the affordable inclusionary units. I think
Correct.
that what a lot of people in the community are wondering is what the rents will be for the other units. That's the majority of the building that are market rate. So I think that that's the reason why I keep trying to clarify, because
Sure.
for people that are used to having to do this, think about units in this way, they really are just wanting to understand who's going to be able to afford to live in the market rate units in the building. So
Right.
that's the question that I've been hearing from the community over and over again. So
I completely appreciate that. Our goal, we've been asked by a lot of the 501c3s how we can do this and get these rent rates to work and get financing. And so our rent rate, our target is 100% of AMI, straight down the middle, to be able to deliver brand new state-of-the-art high-end housing. And that's regardless of market, which means, of course, it's like a different rate in San Diego or LA or somewhere else. In San Francisco, I think that the best reference is that at our 361 project, our rent rates are going to run close to $2,000 a month on those units. We think that's right. We think that's where the market will be for those units. We don't think it'll be more than that. I mean, it won't be $3,000 a month, even though studios rent for that. These are larger units that we've deliberately gone from the very small unit to a bigger unit size. And it took us an entire year working with the planning department to get them to agree to these bigger sizes. And so that's been successful, and it was accomplished during this time cycle since January. And as a result, frankly, of the pressure from the community to see bigger units, they were willing to give it to us as an administrative approval by zoning as their interpretation. So that allowed us to move forward. So our rent rates, Alex, can you, if somebody was on the 4th floor in a B unit, what do you have for that? I can interpret what unit means afterwards.
Let's see, 4th floor B unit.
Yeah, facing the courtyard. What's that unit?
3,000.
Okay, so that B unit is a 350 plus square foot unit with its own outlook, kitchen, private bath. It's actually 2 rooms. It's more like a 1 bedroom. But that's the best rate, and we've tested that with, you know, the various market groups and the analysis out there, and that places it. I think that puts it just below 100% of AMI, Alex.
At 3,000?
Yeah.
I have to pull up AMI again.
I know,
And that's 350 square feet? Is that
It's about
350
370.
square feet?
How big is
370?
it, Alex?
It's about 370, just under.
Got it. Thank you.
100% AMI for 1 bedroom. 2,700. So just over that.
Just a
About-
little bit above 100.
Yeah.
So that's our target. That's what we're trying to accomplish, is to design product that will fit these middle income qualifications, and then provide super high quality product. It may be smaller, but it's sort of the ultimate in technological advantages, internet access, water quality, air quality, and access to these very large amenity spaces, multiple kitchens, and a lot of services in support of community within the building. So I hope that helps with understanding the range of pricing.
Yeah.
But we're really trying to target that absolute middle. And of course, our range goes all the way down to what's our lowest rent in this?
The lowest rent is the lowest BMR.
Yeah, because we're even below 55.
The lowest BMR is like 850, 860.
Thanks. Those specifics are really helpful. Thanks so much. Appreciate that.
And by the way, Colleen, if you need more data on this, on how the math works for being able to finance these kinds of this size, this type of product, we'd be happy to share.
Great. Thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Okay, other questions or thoughts? Oh. Okay, there is one in the chat box, which I'm going to read. Could you describe who you expect to rent here? For instance, what do you define as essential workers? Wow, we had a slide about that before, that very question, but Alex, I think you can probably go from memory and let people know what Forge's definition of essential workers are, and the churches as well.
Yeah, so essential workers can really be, I mean, we've all become pretty familiar with that term given the global health pandemic and the language that we've started to use there. But let me just pull up, maybe I could share my screen and even put that slide back up for us, if that would be helpful here to help us visualize. We had put this in our previous presentation because
David, could you help share the Interfaith Council model of what essential housing means?
Sure. The San Francisco Interfaith Council, as you know, has been focused on housing and different issues over the years. Several years ago, they they focused on what they called essential housing, and that was for the workforce. It was for the people who right now can't find any housing anywhere. There's housing that's at the lower end of the scale and housing at the upper end of the scale, and there's not housing for people in the middle. Around where we are, the churches, we've talked to a number of the hotels, for example, where their workers have to live outside the city. The essential worker definition that the Interfaith Council, has a fairly broad range, but it would include the type of essential workers that you kind of think about when you use the term. And they have a range from lower income to middle income. And here, I think we see the slide of some of it right here.
So
These
this-
are just some examples.
Please. Okay. All right. I apologize. I missed a question in the chat. Somebody pointed out to me. Thank you. Please spell out a list of cooking and storage for food in units, for instance, the size of a refrigerator, etc.
So the units, I think we might
I think
even.
you can just answer it, Alex.
Okay. Yeah, the units all have full cooking facilities. So, they have a 2-burner stovetop. They have a microwave combination oven. They have a 6 cubic foot refrigerator, which is not, a giant one. It's a smaller size refrigerator. They
That's
have
size fridge.
what was that?
It's like an apartment size fridge.
Yeah. They have garbage disposals, dishwashers, sink, obviously, all the standard things you would find in a kitchen of even a larger unit. And then the other question was something about food storage. There's, ample millwork and storage. So you have a upper and a lower cabinet, just like in any other kitchen, with drawers and shelves, etc. for dishware, cookware, silverware. You also do have the washer dryer. That's another appliance that's in there.
Okay. Other questions that people might have? I'll just give it another minute or so. Are there balconies?
Good question, Michael. I forgot to mention that during the presentation. There were balconies in the original project, and we heard from specifically some commissioners that they wanted to see more. And so we have worked with the planning department over the last couple weeks, months, to incorporate more balconies. So yes, we have added more balconies to the project.
Is there a number you would like to share, or is that in flux?
That's kind of not determined yet, but yes, we've
There will be some balconies and access to outdoors. Okay.
This is David with a question I'm sure you've thought of. I'd love to hear your answer. When you designed this project years back, it was designed for a different world. There was a lot more need for workforce housing. It was 100 years since our last pandemic. Nobody thought about pandemics. It was just off the horizon. There was a shortage of rental units in the city, and all those conditions have changed. As you know, I mean, I guess if you're investing in real estate, single family homes, it's a hot market, but rentals in San Francisco are not doing that great right now. And the need for, living in shared group housing accommodations is less desirable now than it was 2-3 years ago. So economically, how do you address those concerns? And do you really think you're going to be able to do a full lease up of this building, given these new realities? You know, population in the city has gone down. It's not the same as it was when you designed this project.
Yeah,
How do you address the economic case for this building right now?
I think I could probably defer to the church to answer some aspects of that question, and I can probably address others. Us as Forge, we were not involved in the previous project, so you know we can't really speak to the previous design and all that. Perhaps David or Ella want to speak to why the
Hold
design.
on, let me clarify. So David, are you talking about the original design, which was luxury housing that Thompson Dorfman put forth, or you know, he's talking about the design that you have now.
Yeah,
That when you designed this, it was pre-pandemic. Have needs changed? Do you really think that this building is going to be completely leasable with people's kind of the flight out of city and people wanting to live in single family houses as a result of COVID? Is that right, David?
I'd like to try to
That's
respond to David's question because it's completely real. The issue that, you know, first of all, we're long-term investors in real estate. What we're building is not a building that we're going to like turn around and flip. We're not the developers that have sought entitlements for the sake of reselling the land at a profit, having achieved the most difficult part, which is getting it entitled. So our take is this is a long-term game, that the city is going to be a long-term housing crisis issue, long-term. This is going to last for decades. The demand at the moment is people fled the city. They fled because of the difficulty we're having in the Tenderloin, you know, the issues that people are having in trying to manage the city, the shutdown, lots of stuff going on. And we have not addressed these in the past, like since 1918. And when we did it in 1918, it followed very much the pattern that we're seeing. And then the city returned, as the city does. We believe long-term in the city. We believe this niche of housing is going to be valuable long-term for people who earn middle income. We can't build 1,000 square foot units because the cost in construction is $1.2 million. It's absurd. But we can build this product and we can get it financed. And it's a unique situation. It's one that we helped create the financing with Freddie Mac to be able to do this kind of project. Our two other buildings in the Tenderloin are the only buildings in the country that have this particular type of financing funded by Freddie Mac. So they would like to do more with us, but it's, you know, a combination of events and it's difficult to project, but we will go back and pursue this. So our investors see this as a long-term play and they support this product type. I think we will fill this building when we're finished. We believe implicitly that it's a different kind of building. It's not just you got a key, you paid rent, you got a key. You pay a third of your income, your life. It's like the Matrix. So you give up a big piece of your life. We want our buildings as Forge to be a great representation for who lives there on climate responsibility, sustainability issues, affordability issues, how we deal with the children after school. What are the stress points for people who work in the city? How can we address those and build community? We think that's going to be something that doesn't go away as a need, especially at this level. The wealthiest units, the things that were going to be here, true gentrification for the Tenderloin, those people are going to go elsewhere. They're not going to be in the city. But the people who can't commute, can't afford to drive, don't want to live in Merced and work in the city, we think those people are going to be very much involved with this project. And that's who we're trying to build for. So right now, our investors are supportive. The level of sustainability and who we're addressing as a community is not the rich people who are going to live in the other project. Okay, that was 176 units. And in order to qualify, you needed an income of $300,000 a year. Just standard math. Now we're down to the point where we're saying it's under 100,000 or 100, although that's an absurd number in many ways. We're trying to find a way to bring this into a realm that is uber high quality, excellent living environment, and supportive in its nature, which is what the Tenderloin's been about since the beginning. And there is no better place as a community and neighborhood for children to have this kind of housing. And we think the Tenderloin is maybe one of the most exciting neighborhoods in the country because of all those reasons. So not to over proselytize, but it's also why I've been involved in this project for 35 years.
Thank you. Thank you for the answer. I appreciate it.
And it's good to talk with you.
Same here.
Sorry, Tracy, I got a
Tracy,
little overwinded.
you're on mute, Tracy.
Thank you. Thank you. Is the oven, I said another question, it's a bit simpler. Is the oven separate from the microwave or is it a combo microwave oven?
We've been working with Panasonic on all of these technologies. I'm sorry for interrupting, Alex, but
Go
I
ahead.
get passionate as well.
Go ahead.
It's very cool technology. It's not your standard off-the-shelf, GE microwave. It's a combo machine that provides an extra higher level of cooking capability. When somebody said, "Can I roast a chicken?" Peter, I think that was you. And the answer is yes. You can't put a 20-pound turkey in there, but you can definitely handle roast chicken or salmon or vegetables or etc. As Alex said, this technology is so far ahead of what's typically provided that we think that it's going to be very exciting. And, we bet a lot on that it will be supported by people. And then if you have a larger group, this project will now have at least 6 separate kitchens that you can sign up for to cook for your family or your friends or to have a dinner party or larger than you would have within your space, but not necessarily a different meal.
Okay. Is it more affordable per square foot than other market rate units, or is it just that there is less space, so it costs less?
It's more complicated than that, actually. It's a great question. It's not just that we made it small, because look, we're also providing, Project Access doesn't operate without compensation. And we're putting a tremendous amount of money into their services. But what we've managed to accomplish, Isis and Alex and Gensler and us, is to combine the effectiveness of sustainable energy, water, air systems and structural systems that are reducing our overall cost of the project from a normal way of delivering. And when you combine all of these things, that's why it becomes more affordable. And we could apply it to, full market rate housing, but that's just not our mission.
Okay. All right. It is 6:57. So I'm just going to say, is there anybody that has one last comment or question?
There is a question here about how many trees are in the courtyard.
Oh.
Somebody asked that at 6:47. There was this question about balconies and then the trees.
Right. So I don't know if the landscaping plan has been finalized yet. Alex, I would refer to you for that.
So we can't speak to a number of trees, but there will definitely be trees.
Okay, we don't know yet. I think we wait till we get this passed and then we start filling in those.
I want to interrupt that one. Isis, you're a land,
So I'm going to speak to that. So this is Isis Schwartz. I'm with Forge. I'm a landscape architect and a sustainability professional. I've been doing sustainability assessments and climate action plans for cities and worked for the UN. So it is our goal actually to make this, a very, very green project. And I know that, within that very small space, we can accomplish that. It is not necessarily about the number of trees, but how we actually incorporate green systems into the project. And Project Access also has a program that, how one can grow vegetables in raised planters, in rooftop gardens. And that is one of the things that we want to incorporate into this project, is to create a biophilic environment, an environment where people go outside and it's green and it's lush. And doing all of this, though, while taking into account the fact that we live in California and we are going through yet another drought, so drought tolerant landscapes, but also using water the best manner possible. So we will be ensuring with our landscape architect of record, actually, to make sure that the project is very green, green in the sense of sustainable processes, but also green in the sense of walls, installing green walls that so one can grow vegetables on vertical systems, as well as on raised planter beds, and creating these very drought tolerant landscapes that are very much in keeping with the conditions that we have in California. So as a landscape architect and climate planner, that is our goal that we'll definitely be incorporating into the project.
Okay. We are willing to stay 5 minutes longer if people have any more questions, but I do want to be respectful of people's evenings. And I also want to thank everybody who joined us tonight. I'm going to ask John to put the Facebook page link again into our chat box. You can go there and we'll have the presentation and this recording up there this week. And I will wait just a minute here and see if anybody has a burning question.
There was a question here: is oven separate oven in addition to microwave?
Yes, we answered that.
Oh, we did? Okay, good.
We did, yeah. We talked about the chicken.
Oh,
and state-of-the-art technology that Forge has been working with Panasonic on. So, okay, I want to thank everybody really for attending. We really appreciate your interest. I'm going to type my phone number in the chat box. I think I say this all the time, but it's true. I'm always available. I will follow up with a meeting with Project Access with Amos and Michael. And for those of you that put your emails in the chat function, we'll get you on our mailing list, and we'll also invite you to that meeting if you're interested. So I think with that, I'd like to say thank you for giving. I know you could have done a lot of other things tonight. So thank you so much for attending. We're very grateful.